Fourth straight loss to the undermanned Dogs as well. The Dogs are pulling off reserve graders.
And yet, massive cup players, some of them.
And then somehow the Dragons have managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, it was a bit like that. It was one of those games where, similar to the Tigers and Panthers on Saturday night, you just got the sense the Panthers were going to eventually get that final try and get over the top. Kind of had that feeling yesterday with the Dragons, especially playing in front of their home fans. But the Bulldogs managed to hold on, and the Dragons managed to stuff up every possible opportunity they had, even with the Bulldogs down to 12 men for a 10-minute period in the second half with Corey Waddell in the sin bin, and they did score one try, but they didn't do enough to get over the line against the Dogs. So, pretty disappointing scenes for the Red V fans, especially after the way they performed in the second half on Anzac Day. There's a few disgruntled supporters and a few calls for some changes in the coaching staff and the playing roster.
It's also a little bit of a blow-up with Benny Hunt, Jack DeBellin.
Yeah, Ben Hunt just looked very frustrated on Sunday. Very, very frustrated. I think he had a word to Jacob Little at one stage as well, because I think Little kicked from dummy half when Hunt was calling for it. Him and DeBellin were visibly frustrated at each other at one stage as well. Hunt in the press conference after the game was not given much. Yeah. I thought he was pretty ordinary, to be honest, yesterday. He was stifling the attack a little bit, Benny. He's just probably trying to do too much at the moment because they're not playing well. And a lot of responsibilities obviously falling on his shoulders, but it's not great signs. 4 losses in a row, and you only have to look at who Canterbury had out yesterday. Luke Thompson, Max King, Franklin Pele. There's 3 middle forwards. Viliami Kikau, one of the best second rows in the comp, and Josh Adokar, Jacob Kiraz, one of the better wing combinations in the comp. They were both out. Look, for them to come up short against the Dogs when there's so much they needed to play for, pretty disappointing.
And now they're going to get the red hot Tigers going into Magic Round.
The lukewarm Tigers.
Yeah. But we're 9 rounds in. Is this it? Is this make or break for the Dragons already?
Make or break was weeks ago, but if they somehow lose to the Tigers after losing to that Dogs team yesterday, I don't know where they go, really. I think a lot of Dragons supporters are just feeling very jaded. They have been for a long time, but especially at the moment, you're seeing performances that they're dishing up, and then Tuesday 4 p.m. hits and it's still the same team list, unless someone gets injured and then they change a winger or something like. So they need to make changes to the team, and the big one is obviously Hook's future is still up in the air. No chance in the world he gets re-signed. So I guess the question is, if we're talking real or ridiculous, is it too early to give up on this season after 9 rounds and start looking towards the future?
I think it's a bit ridiculous. That's 100% going to be pushed this week, but I just don't see what the alternative is. What, you got an interim coach for the rest of the year? You're not going to get Hornby now. You're not going to get any of the guys who have been thrown up. I don't think Manly are going to let Flano go if they decide to go with Flano. I don't see what other option they have. Like, obviously, playing list wise, they need to change something, but losing Hook now, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it does.
I don't know what that fixes.
9 rounds and then you're carrying an interim coach. It'd either be Ryan Carr or Ben Wolf, who are both new to the club as well. Yeah. That's a lot of pressure to put on them. The only guy that they could get that's been in the mix is Des Hasler. They could get him immediately because he doesn't have a job at the moment. But from what I understand, Ben Hornby's probably got his nose in front, and South, no chance when they're probably close enough to premiership favourites. There's no way they're letting him go with the way he's helped their attack in the past few years, especially with guys like Cody and Latrell and the way he's been able to help unlock them. But I think he's probably the man with his nose in front. They just won't be able to get him in the short term. But what changes they make to the playing roster, there's a couple of blokes that probably need some time in resis or just out of the team. Moses Embai is probably the one that most Dragons fans are pretty frustrated about. You want to talk about stifling attack. His service from dummy half is poor. He's never really been a dummy half. He's been like a utility that can kind of play there, but spent more time in the halves. Jaden Sullivan, I know a lot of people are hoping to see back in the team just because he's fast, which the Dragons lack a lot of speed. Zach Lomax has been really disappointing. He's on a lot of money. He's just regressed in the past 12, 18 months. And I saw on social media this morning, the mark of a good coach is where the players improve under them. And Zach Lomax, 2-3 years ago has been spoken about as a future Origin player, a superstar of the game, and now he's lucky to be playing NRL if we're being serious. And they've got to make some changes in the forwards as well, I would think.
Do you, remembering that Anzac Day wasn't that long ago, and the Dragons were pretty impressive, I think, losing 26-27.
Yeah.
Do you think they could even be a team towards the end of this year that could be a little bit of a giant killer? Right around the top 8, they probably won't make the finals, but that could trouble some teams later in the year? Or do you think this is it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, they still have enough ability across the park to win games of football. At the moment, if you look at the past month, the thing that's hurt them has been goal kicking. They've lost 3 games by 1 or 2 points, and all of those games, Lomax has missed at least 1 or 2 conversions. So if they win 2 or 3 of them, they're probably in the top 8. So there's no reason why they can't beat teams, but at the moment they just look low on confidence. Their defensive structure is pretty ordinary. They're playing a bit more of a compressed style of defence, and yesterday we saw, Jake Averillo scored 2 long-range tries because we were stripped out wide when the Bulldogs were inside their own half. So you never want to see that. That's never a great sign. And then on Anzac Day, Roosters tore them through the middle as well. So defensively, they're not great, and in attack, they just look flustered and a bit slow.
Is this cathartic at all for you talking about it, or is this just making it worse?
I mean, I'm in enough group chats where boys are ripping me all through the game yesterday about how bad they were playing, and yeah, look, it is what it is. It's been like this for a long time.
Yep.
Every time you get that little bit of hope as a Dragons supporter, they let you down. Anzac Day was the hope and the light at the end of the tunnel that they might be turning things around, and then they lose to a New South Wales Cup Bulldogs team. So we'll see what happens. But in the short term, I think it's a little bit ridiculous to say give up on this year.
Yep.
But I would think that Hooker's got to be on his last legs, and I don't know what the purpose is of sticking with him. But then again, who do you bring in? So it's a tough situation to be in because it is only 9 rounds in, but they've got to do something.